So I just finished watching probably the weirdest show on air, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's true. Severance is a weird show. It's brilliant, but it's weird, or rather, unbridledly mysterious. It's the kind of show that makes Stranger Things look pretty straightforward. Then why on earth does it seem like everyone on earth loves this show? To the point where it has a 97 critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and an 87% audience score. I mean, there are shows with 100% Rotten Tomatoes, but it's rare to see one with this much critical acclaim and audience appeal. So what sets Severance apart? What makes this show such a great show that it won 2 Emmys and everyone can't wait for the next season to start airing? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I know I'm a little bit late on the Severance Gold card. I was pretty much oblivious to it up until late last year, and even then I just had so much on my plate that it didn't seem like a priority at the time. Boy was I wrong, cause the show is that breath of fresh air I've been craving for ever since. Hands down, the number one thing that makes Severance so likable is its incredibly fascinating premise. For those of us who aren't up to speed, the title of the show, Severance, is based off a surgical procedure that is carried out by a biotechnology company the size of Amazon, called Lumen. And basically they implant chips into the brains of their new recruits, and this chip severs their work life from their normal life. What could go wrong, right? Everything. Literally everything can go wrong. This is such an interesting concept that naturally it just makes room for all sorts of weird shit happening. And you know, there's just something about thinking outside the box, especially when it comes to television. People are drawn to the novel and the unconventional. That's why shows like Stranger Things and You have all attracted wide appeal. However, being new and unconventional does not save a bad show from its inevitable doom. You have to be a good show for anyone to give a shit. Going back to the premise, a premise like that naturally gives room for some good tension. Tension between the workers' severed identities, tension between the employees and society, tension between the company and society. There's just natural tension ingrained into the plot. However subtle it may seem at first, it's there. And it can escalate really quickly, as it does several times in the show. The showrunner's ability to tell the story in an elaborate, detailed, yet concise manner is just mind-blowing. The story is no Game of Thrones, but it is a huge story that features big corporations like Lumen. And the story isn't small either. There's this feeling that the story will get even bigger as it progresses. It's just the right balance of everything. It doesn't expose us to too much too early, allowing it to hold on to that air of mystery tightly. However, it does give us just enough that we know the gist of things and we are deeply invested. It truly is masterful storytelling that not many shows are able to pull off nowadays. Some shows are just... Yeah, let's not talk about those. For what it's worth, recently TV shows have been really good, at least the mainstream ones. It's cinema that needs an upgrade, which is just crazy now that I think about it. Especially if you consider the hundreds of millions being spent. But even on TV, Severance isn't really like anything else. It's mysterious, it deviates from the norm, and I love it. Another thing that makes Severance really good is its pacing. I gotta be honest, Severance didn't grip me initially the way I thought it would. I mean, freaking Mr. B said he loved the show, and if a show's gonna make this man leave his impossibly hectic schedule to watch you, you have got to be good. Like, good. Anyway, I went into the show with the wrong expectations, expecting to be the next You or How to Get Away with Murder, since it did say thriller on Google. Imagine my surprise when I watched the first episode go by and really nothing big happened. Sure, the story was established and it set up everything nicely, but apart from that, nothing really gripping happened. There wasn't any bloodshed or over-the-top stakes. It was just enough for you to want to watch the next episode, and to be frank, I was kinda disappointed by this. I mean, everyone kept touting the show as the best thing since Game of Thrones, so I was kinda surprised when I wasn't feeling it. I got the idea of the show and I got the general vibe, but I wasn't feeling the tension yet. You see, I defiantly continued to watch the show just cause it's not in my nature to give up, and by the second episode, things started getting a bit more interesting. I quickly realized this wasn't an action thriller that was going to knock me off my chair, barreling on the floor and just screaming at the screen. Instead, it was a psychological thriller that was going to make me even more curious as the story unfolded. And that was exactly what it did. I had no idea when I started binge watching episodes back to back. I couldn't drop it. Despite its presumably slow pace, Severance managed to keep me hooked and engaged, and that in and of itself is crazy. In a time where literally everything is so fast paced, from TikToks to other shows to even cinema and TV, we live in a time where if what is being shown on screen isn't high stakes or violent, it isn't good. I should know, cause I'm guilty of this as well. However, this show managed to avoid that and gave us a body of work that revealed its true self at its own pace. That is brilliant, and if you look at it that way, it's clear why it's so critically acclaimed. The audience too loves it for that same reason. I think there's just a natural demand for these slower paced stories. Think Game of Thrones before it turned into the train wreck it is, or Stranger Things before it became... I literally have no fucking idea what it is now. But yeah, these shows all started slow paced and the audience vibed with that. And what do you know, it was all worth it, cause all that build up made the season 1 finale all the more interesting, and now I can't even wait for season 2. Like literally, I can't. I need a time machine and I need it now. Intriguing world building. Okay, there's one thing that makes an interesting concept even better. Intriguing world building. And the writers of Severance got this locked in. The fact that the employee's work life doesn't know what's going on the outside, in and of itself is already intriguing world building. Lumen as a company is really retro and it doesn't even look like a real company, to be honest. It looks more like a spaceship with an infinite void of a hallway. And let's not even get started with the offices. I literally don't know how to describe those. I don't think any office can realistically look like this. What is this? I mean, it's a really big office with just 4 cubicles at its center and computers that are definitely from the 80s. Not weird at all. I would like to see what actually working here looks like, cause this office would legit make me feel like an astronaut. Let's not forget about the Perpetuity Wing, which is a whole ass museum with its own exact replica of your building within the museum. Like, how big is the entire building if another entire building could fit in the building and it still didn't look like it took any space at all? Sorry if I'm giving away spoilers, because I really didn't want to give any spoilers away in this video, but I just want to emphasize the sheer craziness of this world. The show's awesome production design and its stylistic choices also give the show a very special feel. It has a premium feel, especially with the camera work, and it gives you the sense that you're watching something premium, like an HBO show, for example. It's obvious the people behind the production design of Severance went out on a limb. They did not hold back on the aesthetics, and things like this might be easy for the untrained eye to gloss over, but if you pay close attention, you find that this attention to detail effectively made Severance what it is and played a huge role in separating it from literally every other show. That said, probably even more important is the conversation around the show. Severance reflects on modern corporate culture and it raises a few interesting questions about how much control companies have over employees, how work can dominate someone's life. These are really interesting topics that not a lot of shows talk about, yet they just keep becoming more of a bigger deal in our society. Lumen mirrors companies that are exploitative of their workers and gets them to do all sorts of, maybe not bordering on brain manipulation, but problematic things. And with the current state of employment, with it just being almost impossible to get a good job nowadays, it's not hard to see why someone would want to work for a company like Lumen, despite common sense saying that it is a horrible idea. And there was genuinely a conversation to be had there. I remember my brother saying he would never work for a company like Lumen, and he wondered how anyone in their right mind would actually work there. Just like him, I'm sure there are a lot of people that feel the same way, and think it's just downright insanity to work for a company like Lumen. It really looks like something that would only be possible in a sci-fi series, but really, is it? We've all known and probably even lived as that person who stayed in a toxic job despite all the signs telling us to quit. I know I have. So why would we assume that people who would want to stay in their toxic jobs here in real life wouldn't stay with their toxic job in Lumen? A lot of the time, people don't stay in their toxic jobs because they want to be there, but because they have to. Either be it for financial security or survival, or in Mark's case, dealing with depression. I am willing to bet that a lot of people who work at Lumen don't want to be there, but they feel they have to be for one reason or another. They don't care if they're essentially cloning themselves and imprisoning that clone in the workplace, while they are allowed to live their life without any worries, just get your paycheck at the end of the month. Now, this might sound like straight up dementedness to you, but when you consider the fact that companies in America with bad working conditions are basically heaven compared to other countries, it isn't that crazy after all. I'm from Nigeria, a country in Africa, and people here are asked to do horrendous things they wouldn't normally do for little pay, just because the employers know their workers don't really have a choice. And it's not just Africa. A certain Chinese company makes their employees work 12-hour days. 12 hours. That is just modern day slavery, and they do this because they know that the workers won't quit. All these are major problems in our society, and Severance does a great job in talking about them in the most interesting way I've personally seen. I've gotta say, Severance is a really great show, and all the things I talked about are just a few of the things that really make this show what it is. There are also great performances from all the actors. They all brought depth to their dual roles and made the shift between their normal life and their work-life personas look effortless. Anyway, that's why I think everyone loves Severance. Is Severance really the weirdest genius show on television? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank every single one of you that watch my videos. Yes, even you, Jerry, from high school. I'm grateful for you guys, and I'm particularly thankful today because I just crossed 1,000 subscribers. If someone told me last year that this day would come only a year after, I'd tell that person to shut up because there's no way that's happening, but alas, here we are. Anyway, if you liked the video, give it a like, you'd be helping the channel a lot, and don't forget to subscribe so I know you guys are interested in more of this type of content. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I think I'm done with this video.